Welcome back to episode 11 of the HigherUp Podcast. We've officially broken 10 episodes, so I'm very excited. This is my 11th time yapping into a camera by myself. Well, I have one guest episode with Crew Mahoney. If you haven't had the chance to go watch that, go check it out. He drops a ton of knowledge and value. He's an incredible guy, but roughly 9, now 10 solo episodes. This is something I never thought I'd be able to do, but I'm grateful to have the opportunity to do it. And I wouldn't continue to do it if you didn't continue to watch. So thank you. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about 5 principles that I try my very best to live my life by that have made a profound positive impact on my life. Now, there are some similarities and parallels between the quotes that changed my life and principles to live life by. However, these are less quotes and more mindsets or framings of minds and ways we view life. That these are the 5 lenses that I choose to see the world through that have made me more successful, more fulfilled, and ultimately just a happier, more enjoyable person to be around. And my life was forever changed when I realized these things. And I'm hoping that throughout the course of this episode, the 5 things that I share with you will help you either in your corporate job or your entrepreneurial endeavors, your fitness journey, or your life in wherever it may apply to at the time and season of life that you're in. Before we get started, I do just want to quickly say if you haven't had the chance to go check out the community, please do. It's called the HigherUp Lifestyle. The link will be in the YouTube description. It's a place I've built for like-minded people to gather, congregate, and spread positivity and help each other out because, let's face it, there's not a lot of people like us that care about protein goal, morning sunlight, electrolytes, and real food and lifting weights. Alongside that, I do drop a video series every week called the Playbook Series where I build out a chronological video compilation of videos anywhere from 50 to 60 minutes long, teaching you how to do certain things in fitness, nutrition, or mindset. So this week's playbook is going to be a running playbook from couch to marathon. And take you through that step by step. So if you're interested, join. That's all I'll say for ad reads. Just kidding. That's all I'll say in terms of promotions for now. But let's dive into the principles that I live my life by. These are in no particular order. And a lot of what I'm going to say is going to be stream of consciousness, as all of these episodes are. I have some loose notes and ideas to keep me on track and keep me from getting too far off into the ether with some of these thoughts. But most of what I'm going to say is just off the top of my head because I want to make sure that it's genuine and it's how I'm feeling at the time. The first one is that physical health is a launching pad for success. Now, notice I said a launching pad for success, not the launching pad for success. There are plenty of people in life that have made a bunch of money, built great relationships, have great marriages and wives and husbands and families and kids, and are very fulfilled, and physical fitness has never been at the forefront. However, having a great physique, something that people admire or at least notice about you immediately as a byproduct of human nature, is definitely a good way to increase the odds that you will find yourself in a situation or opportunity where you may be successful. You may take on a new job, a new role, meet someone that's pivotal to your life journey. And I'll explain that and expand on that with a story. Last night, I went to an incredible event in Atlanta hosted by a guy named Gabriel Pinto. And the premise of the event was it was a speaking panel with a keynote speaker at the end. And the theme was challenging yourself physically to find your purpose. And a couple of my good buddies, Colin Beecham and Jordan Utley, were on that panel. And basically, they've done incredible things physically. They've both run a 100-mile ultramarathon. Colin has run the 100-miler and an Ironman, and he's done a 50K. He's run the gamut of endurance events. They're both incredibly impressive. Jordan has encountered or embodied a massive physical and emotional and spiritual transformation, going from drugs and alcohol and a life of partying to embodying a life of fitness and faith and helping others. And so it was a really inspiring event to be at, and to hear these people talk in front of a crowd and share their experience and perspectives was incredible. And it really fired me up. And the keynote speaker was an individual named Morgan Finley. He is the corporate wellness director for a local company here in Georgia called Mountain Motorsports. They think of extreme motorsports vehicles, wave runners or jet skis, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, side-by-sides. And they're massively successful here in Georgia. And he's their corporate wellness director. And that is sort of a dream role of mine, to marry corporate success with health and wellness are 2 things that I love very much. And I believe that they are inextricably woven, and that if you're good at one, you're going to be better at the other. And if you're physically fit, you're going to be more successful in your job. And the reason I bring up Morgan is because, to oversimplify his story, where he is now started because he's jacked. He has an insane physique. He is very established in the sports performance space. He was a professional rugby player. He's done some bodybuilding shows, I believe. And the dude is jacked. I mean, his triceps were busting out of his shirt. He has an incredible physique. And one day when he was, I believe, training at a commercial gym, this was my first time hearing a story last night. When he was training at a commercial gym, an individual came up to him and said, "Hey man, you got a good physique. I'm looking to lose a little bit of weight. I've got a race. I drive cars and I need to be a little bit lighter. Can you help me?" Well, that turned out to be a professional racer in the Lamborghini series. I don't know all the terminology for racing, but he raced Lamborghinis professionally, and he had no idea. He had no idea that that was the case. And so when he started to tell Morgan about his experience and what exactly he does, Morgan realized how big of a deal it was and started doing his research on how to coach these guys for a certain level of performance. And now he is the corporate wellness director at Mountain Motorsports, and the owners are two guys that have been in the racing space for ages. And he full-time coaches two professional racers right now, one on the American Muscle Circuit and one that won the, I believe they said, the Le Mans circuit with Team Porsche. So he coaches these guys now and makes an incredible living doing exactly what he loves, and he's remarkably knowledgeable. And I bring that up because his physique was literally the launching pad for where he is now. If he didn't have the eye-catching physique he had, that guy may never have approached him asking him for tips. So it doesn't really matter if you're rich or poor. Your physique can almost serve as a networking opportunity. I was talking to a buddy of mine about how a really successful entrepreneur in the Atlanta area came up to him and just asked him, "Hey, what do you do? What do you do for your workout routine?" Because he's visibly jacked in clothes. And the physique is sort of the great equalizer, because in human nature, regardless of where you are in life, how rich you are, if you're 100 pounds overweight and you see a dude who is just ripped, you're going to be impressed, or you're at least going to be curious, or you're at least going to notice it. And so that rich guy may come up to you and ask you what you're doing because he's 40% body fat. And you could be flat broke. And now you're standing in front of a multimillionaire who could set you up for success because you become his full-time trainer. That's all a hypothetical. But the point is, when you have an eye-catching physique and something you've built over many years, successful people will, one, see that as an embodiment of who you are. It shows you can stick to something for a long time. It shows you have discipline and rigidity, and it shows you have work ethic, and you have something that they don't. And when you have something of value that others don't and that they will seek you out for advice. Eventually, someone will. So a physique and physical health can be a launch pad for success. And it's honestly put me, obviously, in some good positions because I have built a somewhat decent physique over the last 8 years. And now I'm able to run a coaching business where my body is a big part of my brand. And I'm grateful for that. But I would not be where I was if I hadn't gone to the gym, eaten right, and done as much as I could right over the last 8 years and just been remarkably consistent. Rarely perfect, but consistently good. Consistently good over occasionally great is how I look at fitness. And if I hadn't been that way for 8 years, if I'd given up at a year and a half because I wasn't where I wanted to be, I wouldn't be making this video. So physical health is a launch pad for success. Point number 2. This is a quote, but it's amazing. It's from Zig Ziglar, a really world-renowned sales trainer, rest in peace, who said, "You can have everything you want out of life if you help other people get what they want." I was in a sales program in college. My bachelor's degree is in professional selling, and that phrase is pasted on the window of the Center for Professional Selling, which is sort of the conference area for the sales majors. And I remember seeing that for the first time, and it was sort of an aha moment. It was a duh, of course. Of course I can have everything I want if I just help other people. And it was an immediate light bulb for me. And in that moment, I said, that's what I'm going to do. I mean, this is sales in its purest form, right? Assuming you sell a good product for an ethical company and you operate ethically, sales is helping people get what they want, thereby getting what you want: financial security, income, and relationships, and a more fulfilled life. So sales is a corporate version of that. But when I started my social media account, I never anticipated it becoming part of my full-time job, growing to what it has today. I'm humbled, I'm grateful, and I know it's an absolute blessing, and I feel like the luckiest guy alive. But I simply started with the intent of serving others. And if you haven't looked into the principles or methods behind servant leadership, it's really powerful, and it's what I try to do every day. I try to give as much information away as I can for free. I try to respond to all of my messages of people with questions and inquiries that I can keep up with. And there seems to be a correlation in that the more that I try to serve others, the more successful I am financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically. It always pays me back in spades because I always try to give it away for free. I always try to be of service. And I think that that applies to everyone. If you truly lead with a servant attitude and try to be of service of those around you and help, the law of reciprocity will come back around. People will reciprocate. They will reciprocate with speaking well of you to others who they may know who may have opportunities for you. They may reciprocate with bringing you opportunities that could help earn you income or set you up for success. This worked really well for me in my corporate job before I left. All I tried to do was help the engineers on my team. I was in IT sales. I was the sales guy. They were the engineers. All I tried to do was give them as much information as I could, help them as much as I could, proactively communicate where I could. And in return, they would find sales opportunities and pick me to be the sales rep they gave it to out of a team of 4. Now, was that my intention when doing these things for them? No, my intention was to help. But the law of reciprocity is just that. It's a law. And if you help people, it comes back around. So people seem to operate from this space of more for me, more for me. There is enough out there for everyone. And if you just help, again, enough people get what they want, you can have everything that you want. I am blessed with a life of abundance right now because I think it's because I'm just trying to help people. And that is my only intention, and it always will be. And I want people out there to challenge their mindset of if they have this, come from this place of scarcity where they feel like there's not enough out there for everyone or they can't even find enough for themselves. I promise you there is. You just need to shift your perspective a little bit and do everything you can to serve others. And the more you do that, in my opinion and my experience, though it is anecdote, you will be more successful. More money will come your way. More money making opportunities will find their way to you. More leadership or development or networking opportunities will present themselves to you if you operate from a place of, I want to help as many people get what they want as I can. It's a remarkably powerful principle. Point number 3, I just made a TikTok about this about an hour ago. Most people don't have what they want simply because they don't ask for it. Revolutionary, right? No, it's incredibly simple, but sometimes the most simple points can be the most profound. I was amazed at what I was able to accomplish or get when I asked for it. I mean, throughout the last 4 years of my career in networking, raises, negotiations, making sales, you just got to ask. And a lot of people, not everybody, some people ask and they say no. That is absolutely a possibility. It's not 100% foolproof. But a lot of people don't make more money in corporate America, though they're worth more than they're getting paid, because they don't ask. They don't get the date with the partner that they want to seek out or go on a date with because they don't ask. They don't get coffee or lunch with that entrepreneur that's 3 steps ahead of where they are in life or where they want to be in life because they don't walk up and ask. And you would be amazed at how much you can get out of people, your job, your money, if you just ask for what you want. Now, this bars the fact and goes without saying, I feel like, that you have to be a good person. You have to be kind. If you're in the corporate space and you're asking for a raise, you have to be a valuable employee. You can't be a slacker. But quick story about my corporate experience. From year 1 of college, from year 1 of my full-time employment to year 3 when I left my first job to go into consulting, which I was only in for 15 days before I quit to do this full-time. In those 3 years, I increased my income, my base salary income, by 45%. How did I do that? I asked. And I don't say that to brag. I say that to show people what is possible. A lot of people don't counteroffer when they get job offers. And out of college, I had a lot of leverage because I was hyperactive in the school with extracurriculars. And I had a lot of job offers at the time. So I had leverage and I was not afraid to use that leverage and ask to get what I felt I deserved. My top prospect company offered me a great salary. And I countered it was a sales job. It was salary plus commission. And I countered on the salary. I asked for $10,000 more. Now, most people would say, I'm in college. I don't have anything to lean on. They had already offered me. They made it very clear they wanted me to join the team and were excited. The energy was there that we wanted it to be a fit for both sides. And I gave it a day and I built a small value proposition for here are the things that I've done and why I feel like I deserve this. So my ask is $10,000 above what you gave me. And the way that I looked at it was either they say yes and they give me exactly what I asked for, and that's incredible, or we meet somewhere in the middle in a way that makes sense for both parties, and everyone's happy because they want me to come on and I want to come on, and they acknowledge and accept a piece of the offer. a counteroffer, or they say no. And at the very least, I know they offered me the upper end of what they could have in the budget, and they'll respect me. And they'll say, this guy's not afraid to ask the hard questions. Being that I was coming on as a sales rep, that's important. You can't be afraid to ask for the sale and ask for the close. So that was, in essence, a combination of what happened. I ended up getting $5,000 of the $10,000 that I asked for, and I was happy with that. 23 years old, making what I was making, I was stoked with that. And I got a little more than I thought, which was still great to begin with. And what was going to be my boss said, I really respect you for having the guts to ask me that, because a lot of guys your age wouldn't have. And again, I don't say that to brag. I say that to show you what's possible. Sometimes you're just not getting what you want if you're a badass employee or a badass person because you're not asking people for it. I DM'd a guy who was the keynote speaker at the event I was at last night, shook his hand on the way out, said, and I didn't hold him up. I said, hey, I know you've been getting swamped with people all night. I won't hold you up. He went into some detail around a lot of the things that I am fascinated by, like the AMCC in our brain, gut health, serotonin and gut health production. Like, he went deep in the weeds, and I knew some people were very confused, but I was in the back fired up. And I knew this guy was incredibly competent, and he's a corporate wellness director. He's a couple steps ahead of where I want to be in life. So I grabbed him on the way out. I said, I won't keep you. My name is Michael Smoke. I'd love to have the opportunity to connect with you again. I think we're aligned on a lot of the things that we believe and share with people. And if you're open to it, would love to grab lunch or coffee. And he said, yeah, man, great. Shoot me a DM. Most people never follow up and ask and shoot the DM. I did. And now we're going to get coffee on February 26th. And I'm eventually going to ask him to sit right here behind me and be a guest on my podcast. And it's going to be an awesome conversation because he's got a cool story and he has a badass accent. He's from New Zealand, I think. I always get New Zealand and Australia confused, but I don't want to be insulting. Regardless, I asked, and now I have another networking opportunity. And it's cool. And it's exciting. And there's a rush of walking up to someone and just asking for what you want. And then when the feeling of yes comes through, you're amazed. And if they say no, whatever. It's a little bit of exposure therapy. You got rejected, and now you're more comfortable doing that thing. So there's really no outcome where you lose that battle, if that makes sense. So ask for what you want. It's really that simple. I have a lot of people arguing with me in that comment section. Someone commented, I asked for more money in the job offer and they pulled the offer. Okay, either a bad company or you got greedy and asked for a ridiculous counteroffer. And those are really the only two factors. I've counteroffered every job offer I've ever gotten. No one's ever pulled the offer as a result. So if you're ethical, a valuable asset, respectful, and reasonable, there is no scenario where asking for a little more money or asking for what you want truly makes you look terrible within reason. And that was principle number 3. Number 4, go fast alone or go far together. I touched on the principle of a belief of abundance versus scarcity, where some people in this entrepreneurial space or just in the business world in general operate from a place of scarcity where they feel like me, my, there's not enough money to go around. So I'm going to pile and be selfish with as much as I can and not share with people, not share opportunities with people. And I saw that a lot in the corporate world. I was in a sales-driven company. Some sales reps are greedy, and that's all right. I personally was never greedy and found the less greedy I was, the more people I brought in with me, the better we did, and the more money everybody made. And go fast alone or go far together really rings true for me because in the last few months, I've leaned heavily on community. I'm a member of 2, kind of 3 run clubs. I've developed a much tighter relationship with a couple of guys that are into the same stuff that I'm into, and it's been incredible. And it made me realize we really are tribal creatures. And sure, you can accomplish a lot if you just put your head down solo and just grind. You can do a ton. And I've done a little bit of that and have built my business to what it is today relatively quickly, I think. I don't have a lot of benchmarking to go off of in this entrepreneurial space, but I'm doing okay. And I'm happy with that. But there are times when I lean on my community. I talk to my other buddies that are online coaches as well. I go up and shake people's hands and ask them if we can talk or get to know each other a little better and pick their brain on how they got to where they are. I think if you want to get a lot done quickly in a short span, maybe do it alone. But if you want to have any shot at longevity in this world and whatever you're doing, you have to have a team. You have to have people that you're willing to bring with you on the journey or that are willing to come along with you or on their journey in parallel with you. You have to find people that are on a similar mission, because if you're on this self-development or process or season of building something, whatever it is, fitness, business, it doesn't matter. there are lonely times, and there are going to be times when you maybe outgrow people in your life. And there are going to be times where it feels hard to find people that are aligned with what you're trying to do or be or think. And when you find those people, you need to cling to them. I can't describe to you how fired up and excited I was to be alive after leaving that event last night, because I know there's not a lot of people that are trying to do what I'm trying to do. And I was in a room full of them last night, and the energy is contagious. My boy Clayton Hayes, who has his podcast that I was on this week, it'll be out next Tuesday. Clayton Nelson and Jake Hayes. Those are two of my boys. Jake Hayes is an online coach. Clayton Nelson is a podcaster, and they're incredible guys. And Clayton was saying last night, we're going to put on an event, hopefully something similar next Thursday to what we went to last night. And he just talks about when you're around people like each other, like us, that energy is contagious. When you see people doing maybe a little bit more than what you're doing right now, or just ahead of you in life, or at the same spot as you in life, it is such a contagious energy, and it makes you want to do more. I said last night, I feel like I could go home and answer emails right now. I'm fired up to do the most boring part of my job. And there's so much power in that. And I honestly needed that badly. I felt like I had been alone on the entrepreneurial journey for a little bit. And I have my boys that I connect with over text and over the phone, and it's great. But being in the same room with those people is an indescribable feeling. So if you want to go far, if you want to have longevity, you can't do it alone. I want to build this business to something much bigger than myself, and I know I can't do it alone forever. I know I'm going to have to hire people. I know I'm going to have to network my butt off. And I'm excited to do that because I know when I invest in my business, I'm investing in myself and I'm investing in my longevity. And that excites me. And it should excite you too. So there may be seasons of putting your head down and grinding alone, but you've got to find people willing to go on the journey with you, to grab you by the hand when you need it and pull your ass out of a rut. It's incredibly powerful. And if you can do that, your odds of success go up a whole lot. I can't picture my life now without the Run Club every Thursday, Run Easy ATL, shout out y'all, and Pass the Torch every Tuesday at 6, though I've been slacking a little bit on coming. Those guys lift me up, and they make getting up at 5 a.m. to go run 6 miles fun as hell. And I'm grateful for it. So find community, and you can go far. That's all I have to say about that. The last point here is something that I haven't talked about in a while, but I talked about a lot in my early content, very early content, probably my first 15 videos. And it meant so much to me at one point that I thought about getting it tattooed on me. Then I realized it was probably a little bit basic. Then I also realized I'm 26 and never had a tattoo. Then I was scared of what if I turn 30 and I hate it? Maybe it's corny. And I just decided, you know what? Let me not get it on my body forever. The point is, I wrestled with that idea because it meant so much to me. And it's a Latin phrase, Dulciusex asperis, and it translates loosely to sweeter after difficulty. I saw that phrase for the first time the day I finished my first marathon. I had already showered up, eaten, and the pain was starting to set in because the adrenaline was falling. I was laying in bed and I was watching a movie. And that phrase came up in the movie. They read it and they explained what it means. Now, is that a silly way to find a phrase? Maybe. But I was sitting there in so much pain. A fever had set in because it turns out one potential side effect of long bouts of endurance training is your cortisol is elevated for such a prolonged period of time that your body actually thinks you're sick. So it elicits an immune response and it triggers a fever. Not all the time, but sometimes. And I had a fever of 101. I was dehydrated, cramping. My legs and feet were killing me. I had a headache. But all I could think about was, God, I feel so good right now. I have never felt this proud of myself. It was truly a life-changing accomplishment. It was the one thing that made me realize I can do anything, or at least made me believe I can do anything. Delusion or not, I don't give a shit. It gave me an unwavering belief in myself because I knew a year ago I had never run more than 3 miles. I don't think ever in my life. And I just did a marathon in 3 hours and 48 minutes, which is a well above average time. And I was so proud of that. I set a goal for sub 4 and I crushed it. I did better than I thought I would. And then I heard this phrase, sweeter after difficulty. And it made me realize that the things we appreciate in life, we tend to only appreciate if we had to struggle for it. And I've never really thought about it that way. I was so proud of everything I had done, more so than crossing the finish line. I was proud of the work. I was proud of the entire prep. I was proud of the 5 months of deliberation I put into that moment. And it was so sweet because I struggled for it. If I just went out and ran the marathon and didn't do the training and half-assed the training and did it in 4.5 hours, 5 hours, I would be stoked I ran a marathon, but I wouldn't feel the way I did because it was difficult, because I suffered for it a little bit. You save up for that big first adult purchase, if it was a nice car or just something you want to splurge on yourself, and you've put away money for 6 months because you're working towards this thing and it's something to motivate you in your business or your earning potential, and then you get it and you have all this love for it because you struggled for it a little bit. You encountered or endured difficulty to get to it. And I think that everything in life is sweeter if we struggle for it a little bit. Life itself is a little sweeter after a struggle. We all fall on hard times. People get sick, family members die, financial times become uncertain or tough, but we get through it. And a lot of times what we find on the other side is a moment of appreciating life again at our baseline of, I'm no longer in the midst of going through something and life is so sweet. I'm so happy I made it on the other side of that. So life in and of itself is sweeter after difficulty. And it's a lot of why I like to manufacture difficulty and suffering into my life. It's why I love getting in freezing cold water or burning hot saunas or picking an endurance event every year and running it. It's not because I love those things. I love what's on the other side of them. And I love life on the other side of difficulty. And I know that when I'm going through something, it was part of why I thought about having it tattooed on me, so it would serve as a constant reminder if I'm going through something, which I inevitably will. I will go through deaths in the immediate family. I will go through hardships, that I can look at that and remember, sweeter after difficulty. Everything will be sweeter after difficulty. So sometimes struggle is okay. And sometimes it should even be embraced. And sometimes it should even be manufactured and intentionally added into your life, because you will appreciate life so much more and you will get so much more out of yourself and others if you struggle a little bit. Why do people like listening to me talk? Because I've done hard stuff. I've built a physique. I've run an ultra marathon. I've quit my job. I've done things that other people perceive as something they want to do or difficult. Thereby, they think I have something worth talking about. Now, do I think that? I don't know. To be determined. But I'm blessed to have the opportunity. But I know I would be less interesting and people would be less willing if I didn't have the proof behind me, the difficulty that I've endured. Challenges and struggles make us interesting. They give us depth and breadth. And it's an absolutely critical part of the human experience. Anyone I want to listen to or talk to that I perceive as an authority on things has been through something, has encountered difficulty. So if you're going through something right now listening to this, you feel like there's no hope on the other side, remember Dulciusex asperis. Remember sweeter after difficulty, and remember that this too shall pass. And when it does, you'll come out the other side more appreciative of this life that we're in. And that's it. Those are the 5 principles that I try to live my life by every day, that cross my mind at least once a day when I wake up and when I go to bed. I hope this was valuable. I know it wasn't a fitness episode. I know I've kind of done a little bit less of the fitness stuff and a little bit more of the mindset stuff. It's just what I want to talk about right now. And I hope that it's what you want to hear right now. And I'm appreciative if you're still here at the 28-minute mark. Drop your step check in the comments. I don't have my Garmin on. I'm wearing my nicer watch today, but I do have my steps on my phone. And I can't not do a step check. So drop your step check in the comments, as well as your feedback as what you thought of the episode. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you're just watching the videos, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out, and I would appreciate it. Even if you subscribe and never see me again, I'd still appreciate it. Like the video as well. It is 1:51 Eastern Standard Time, and I'm at 3,672 steps. Time to get some walking in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, and thank you for continuing to be here. It's a blessing to have the opportunity to sit in front of this camera and talk to you. It's a blessing to live the life that I live, and I don't take it for granted, and I absolutely never will. I'm grateful for all of you. I love all of you. And remember, it isn't easy, but it is simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Have a great weekend.